Welcome to Sideline. I am one of your hosts. Man, it's been a couple weeks. Brandon, and this is
Taylor over here. It has been a couple of weeks here, spending some time with the family.
Got himself a new
enjoying
mic.
The holidays. Yeah, we're upgrading. We want to bring the best possible show to our fans and viewers, and this is one of the ways to do it. So I hope everybody enjoys the audio quality today.
Yes. Later, Taylor will be hosting an ASMR podcast.
I will.
I'll
be eating
Into
bananas.
the mic. Oh, yeah.
Well, I think I'm just going to do the bananas. Make sure you stop by.
No, but how's it going, Taylor? We've been out a couple weeks. We didn't do anything for Christmas or as far as shows in that week. What's it been, like 2 weeks, I think, since
it's been 2 weeks.
Yeah, 2 weeks since we released the show. Of course, you guys know the final college games, and then bowl games started up, and we'll get into that a little bit here in a second. We missed out on some recruiting news. Well, we didn't miss out. We put it on Twitter, so you should be following our Twitter if you'd like to stay updated on recruiting.
And if you're not, make sure you go out there and follow that bad boy.
Yeah. Bing bong.
Bing bong.
All right, so let's go right into recruiting news now to catch you guys up for this week's recruiting news. 4-star safety Peyton Bowen has committed to Notre Dame. Notre Dame, the divisionless Notre Dame. And then we got 4-star running back Cedric Baxter Jr., who's down to 7 schools. He's 6'1", 205-pound running back from Florida. He's ranked the number 1 running back in the class of 2023. He has the Texas Longhorns, Alabama, FSU, USC, UCF, Ohio State, and Arkansas. As some of those schools, I'm like, oh, okay, there's no way this guy goes to UCF. There's no way he goes to Arkansas. Maybe FSU. I don't know.
Hey, man, if we saw anything during the early signing day.
Well, Travis Hunter there.
Yeah. Anything can happen.
And then we go on to being your Sooners fan. 4-star running back Javonte Barnes has committed to Oklahoma. He's the number 85 player in the class of 2022. He committed at the UA, the Under Armour All-American game the other day. Saw it live. It's pretty neat. He picked the Sooners over USC and Florida State. Big time get up for the Oklahoma Sooners. Drew a blank there. He is a Las Vegas native, just like DeMarco Murray, who is the running backs coach at Oklahoma. And he said that was a big reason why he chose Oklahoma over other schools because of their bond.
I think losing out on Hunter made him not want to go to Florida State. That.
I think just Florida State being Florida State made him not want to go to Florida State.
Just their track record really made him not want to go. I don't blame him.
And then we got a 4-star edge rusher, Amari Arbor. He committed to Ohio State over Alabama and Texas A&M. And then we got 5-star linebacker Harold Perkins, which he said it at UA All-American game as well. He picked Texas A&M over the likes of Texas and LSU. He still has a University of Florida visit coming up. Kamari Wilson, do your job, man. As a Florida Gator fan, he's like, I'm committed to the Aggies, right? Number 1 outside linebacker. I'm committed to the Aggies, but I still want to take my Florida visit to see what they're all about. So
this man's just taking a free trip.
Yeah, no.
This man is just trying to soak up some sun.
Harold Perkins. Listen.
Look at the palm trees and get a nice beverage and just chillax on the beach.
It gets pretty hot over there in Texas, right? It gets pretty hot in Texas, right? It's dry. There's no really good beaches there, man. No. The Gulf Stream's got some dirty water. You don't want that. You want the crystal clear water of Gainesville, Florida. And you want to be a Gator. I know you do. But no, congratulations to Harold Perkins.
You're upselling, but I don't think it's going to take, man.
I know. Hey, it's easier to upsell Florida, though, than it is Norman, Oklahoma.
Fair enough.
You're like, if you go to Oklahoma, you're going for the school. You ain't going for nothing else.
Hey, if I am a top 100 recruit, that's all I'm looking for, man. I don't care what the activities around the school are, man. I'm focused on school and my sports. That's it. I'm trying to make some bank.
Fair enough. But congratulations to Harold Perkins on your pick of Texas A&M. Texas A&M now has the highest rated recruiting class of all time. There has not a recruiting class better. They have the number 1 defense tackle in Walter Nolan, They got the number 1 defensive end, the number 1 wide receiver, now the number 1 outside linebacker, and I believe they have one, if not the second best offensive line pickups this recruiting class. They're going to be dangerous.
That's frightening.
All I know. And then our last one is 5-star offensive tackle Josh Connerly Jr. He's down to 6 schools. The 6'5", 270-pound offensive tackle from Washington State is ranked the top 25 player in the 2022 class. He is down to Washington, the Oklahoma Sooners, Oregon, Michigan, USC, and Miami. I don't think he's staying home. I think he does go to Oklahoma. I'll give you that. And then we continue on with the transfer portal. We're still waiting on Emory Jones to skip town. Sorry, man. Don't want to put it that way. But I can say it now, dude. Your dad deactivated Twitter. No, but and then Terence Lewis, the 5-star former number 1 outside linebacker who committed to Maryland last year, is now at UCF. Your thoughts on that?
Smart move for him. Bigger stage. I think he'll be able to put his talent out there for the world to see now. Maryland's not really a school where you go to play football and get noticed. So yeah. I think he made the right choice.
UCF Knights, man, they are the 2017 national champions, according to themselves.
Yeah, it's on Wikipedia. If you go to UCF on Wikipedia and look at their football program, it's right there. They are the 2017 national champs. So, there's that.
There. We are still waiting for Zach Evans to announce where he is going. That is the big one that's still in the portal. They got Elias Ricks, the former 5-star cornerback that was at LSU, who's still in the transfer portal. No, he's not. Wait, is he? I don't know. I'll have to look that up. But nonetheless,
we don't know our stuff around here.
Yeah, we don't know our stuff around here. But Zach Evans, we're still waiting on. Jamari Gibbs picked Alabama. If you guys need to recap, Jamari Gibbs was one of the top. Yeah. Shocker there. And then, do we miss anyone? Ashok Clayton picked Tulane.
Caleb Williams.
Oh, yeah. Caleb Williams broke today. Wrote out a letter saying doesn't know if he's transferring from Oklahoma, the number 1 freshman quarterback coming out last year. He says he still wants to potentially stay at Oklahoma, but in order to talk to other schools, he has to be in the transfer portal, so unfortunately he had to enter his name. And then wide receiver Jacob Copeland committed to Maryland from Florida. He transferred.
Hey, I mean, if Caleb Williams does leave, best of luck to him. He's got a lot of talent, and there's a new young gun coming in for Oklahoma that might take his spot. I don't know if he's there yet, but, he's got some competition. But Caleb Williams is a star. If you've watched any of his games, he is. So wherever he goes, they're automatically going to become contenders. So I don't really have much faith that he stays. I personally don't. No.
I think he stays. Where do you think man. Where would he go? Where would he, I guess USC maybe, but
I don't know where he would go. There's no spot as an Oklahoma fan where I could say, yeah, he looks better in that uniform than a Oklahoma Sooners uniform. So I've got nothing for you. I would love for him to stay. I thought he was going to stay.
Maybe at Baylor or Texas A&M,
I don't see Baylor, that's for sure. Texas A&M, they're getting everybody that's good. So
they got Max Johnson transferring from LSU. So
I don't know. We'll see what happens, but regardless, best of luck to him with whatever he does.
I think personally he stays after talks. Whoever he wants to get off his chest to other coaches, with Theo Weiss and Mims both staying, and then they have a good recruiting class coming up.
Hey, Venables must have said something to him.
Yeah. Well, Venables had reached out, and they just put out Oklahoma and Venables just put out a thing saying that we wish Caleb would decides to stay, but we also respect his decision to look elsewhere. As coaching changes came out of nowhere for him, and it's not fair to just you have to stay here or you're gone.
Lock him down. Yeah. But hey, we had 2 of our best players just go ahead and enter the transfer portal. They said they were done with Oklahoma. And then Venables, I'm guessing he reached out to him and he was able to change their mind. So hopefully he's able to do that with Caleb. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, and we'll see. I mean, you guys got. I mean, if something happens, you guys. I don't know who your guys' backup quarterback is, but you do have Nick Evers coming in.
That's our backup now.
Is it? Oh, well.
Yeah, I don't know who's after Caleb. I knew Spencer and Caleb, and that was all I had.
Oh man. Well, your third string I know was a former 4-star as well. So, I mean, it's college football. Like, everyone's a 4-star if you're a Power 5, but.
If you ain't starting somewhere or not a decent backup, I don't know who you are.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. Sorry. Yeah, he's probably going to watch this. Well, he's not probably going to watch this, but he's going to cry up some.
He's definitely not going to watch it because he definitely has no clue who we are.
Yeah.
Nor does he care who we are.
And nor do we know who he is. So
exactly. So we'll never know.
So who really doesn't know who here is?
Yeah, who's who?
Yeah. Hey, man, we got 13 subscribers, and we appreciate all of you.
Yeah,
Those 13 people know who we are.
Sir.
So,
hopefully. Maybe. I don't know. One of them's probably a bot. I don't know.
Probably. But
appreciate you, bot.
So that's our recruiting news. Where are we going on? To the bowl recaps. Let's go right into it. We had a lot of bowl games that we didn't get to talk about with us being absent for a little bit for the holidays. We start with Middle Tennessee and Toledo. Middle Tennessee won 31-24. Quarterback Bayeto had 270 yards passing and 2 touchdowns. So not bad for Middle Tennessee quarterback there. And then Toledo running back B. Colback had 126 yards rushing, and their Toledo wide receiver had 137 yards. Was not enough to beat Middle Tennessee, unfortunately. We're gonna go
sounds
through
like an exciting game.
Yeah, we're gonna go through a couple games where people are like, I just don't care. But we have to talk about it, man. We're talking about football. Coastal Carolina beat Northern Illinois 47-41.
Nice.
McCall, the quarterback, star quarterback for the Coastal Carolina. Well, I don't even know their names. Coastal Carolina.
Hawks or something.
Yeah, the Hawks or something. Blue Hawks, Seahawks or something like that. 315 yards passing, 4 touchdowns. So he had a good game, and he also announced that he is staying at Coastal Carolina for another year. And the number 1 tight end coming into this NFL draft, Isaiah Likely, had 96 yards receiving and 2 touchdowns. Likely will likely go in probably around the 10 to 20 range, I would assume.
Probably.
So be on the lookout
likely.
there.
Likely. Probably.
Not sure,
likely.
but we're likely.
We'll
and
see.
we got a big game here, UAB versus BYU. Everyone knows this was the top game of the year. UAB upsets 13 overall BYU 31-28. So
who would have thought?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't want to talk more about the game. All right. The Louisiana Raging Cajuns, who my Florida Gators stole your head coach, and now my head coach is stealing all of your staff members. 23 Louisiana Raging Cajuns won 36-21 over Marshall. We are Marshall, and like a plane crash, so did Marshall. Ooh, too soon? Oh man, sorry. It's a good movie though. Western Kentucky beats App State 59-38. Was not even a game. Western Kentucky quarterback Zapp had 422 yards passing and 6 touchdowns. What a game there for Western Kentucky. They will finish the season at 10-5. UTEP versus Fresno State. Another big game that everyone waited to see. 31-24. And we'll just move on. Eastern Michigan loses to Liberty 56-20. Malik Willis, who some have as top 3 quarterback in the NFL draft.
Have we said anything about Dylan Gabriel yet? Just butt in here.
About him going to UCLA?
UCF.
All right. Yeah, he left UCF.
Yeah. He flipped from UCLA, and now he's going to the University of Oklahoma.
You're lying, bro. Did that really?
Just going to go ahead and pop this up real quick. Bleach Report just broke it. Shout out to Bleacher Report.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Yep. Dylan Gabriel just posted it on his Instagram. Said, they say life's a gamble like rolling the dice. Hashtag dime time committed Dylan Gabriel to the University of Oklahoma.
Breaking news: Tate Martell transfer. I'm kidding.
Everybody's just waiting on that to happen.
Yeah. No, I wish Tate Martell the best, but I think with Tate Martell, I think his ego has gotten the best of him in his career.
Oh, yeah. He thinks he's the best out there, no matter what.
He thought he should have started as a true freshman at Ohio State. Did not have the talent to do that, and then didn't want to wait. All he had to do was wait 1 year and learn, and he didn't want to do that. But then went to Miami and thought a position change, going to wide receiver. Anyways, we're sidetracking. Dylan Gabriel to Oklahoma. What a pickup for Oklahoma. I still think that Caleb Williams is better. So, it is what it is. But if Caleb Williams does leave, Dylan Gabriel is a pretty good bridge quarterback for Nick Evers to take over. So,
yeah. I think that Caleb Williams news may have shifted his interest to Oklahoma a little more.
Yeah, I would agree. And then, this is style of offense that Chip Kelly runs over at UCLA. Why it works, you have to be a super athletic quarterback. So, he probably was like, it probably won't be the best for me. We talk about this Liberty Eastern Michigan game. We have Malik Willis. He's a top-rated NFL recruit. He threw 231 yards and 3 passing TDs, went 13 and 24. An issue with Malik has always been his accuracy. His accuracy issues. Is there a team? Let's just kind of break into it. Is there a team in the NFL in the later rounds and later picks that you think you could maybe see him going as a potential backup, but learn and then kind of like a Trey Lance situation?
As a backup,
I
would say wherever Aaron Rodgers goes next year, man.
Yeah,
Aaron Rodgers he's not going to be in the league much longer. Aaron Rodgers is his time's limited, and I would honestly say any rookie quarterback, if you had to choose out of what's out there of a team you could take over and who you want to learn from, Aaron Rodgers would be the guy.
Yeah,
that man is dynamic and elite, to say the least. So if you're gonna go out and chase somebody, chase after Aaron Rodgers to whatever team, whether it be Green Bay or a different squad.
Yeah.
Other than that, clearly the Lions need a quarterback, but I don't know if I want to learn from Jared Goff.
They already said that Goff is going to be the quarterback for next year, so.
Gives them some time to develop them. I don't know. They need something to happen.
I think Malik Willis is an extraordinary talent as an athlete. He is not a gifted passer. After watching a couple games, I went to go watch a couple games of his, and I didn't see the hype. He's super athletic. He's like a Lamar Jackson, but they can't throw. So he's just I just don't
maybe
see
the
it.
Browns.
Maybe the Browns. Baker Mayfield has been struggling. They're looking to be in the playoffs, so that'd be in the range there for them.
The Browns are ruthless when somebody makes a mistake. So
yeah.
Baker, you may be gone soon.
Yeah. And then we got we'll move on. We got Utah State beating Oregon State 24-13. And then we have Old Dominion, which we actually talked about. I was like, who wants to watch these old losing to Tulsa 30-17. Sorry, Old Dominion. And then UTSA, another team we talked about off the show, lost to San Diego State 38-24. Kent State lost to Wyoming 52-38. We'll move on to Missouri and Army. Army is 9-4, and they beat an SEC team. So, God bless America.
Yeah.
Especially when all Army does is run the ball.
It's literally all they do. If you haven't watched an Army game, it's boring.
It's just run up the middle. It's like the Army coach is like an officer who's like, all right, we got a game today. All right, just run up the middle. All right, I'm out.
That's it. I'm gone.
I'm out.
Hey, but it's working for them. And if you got beat by Army and you couldn't figure out how to stop a run game the entire game, you gotta deserve to lose.
These guys are out here defending our country and serving a can of whoop butt. We'll keep it PG.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. It doesn't have the same effect, I guess. But
I thought we were on YouTube here. I thought we were able to say it. I'm going to say it. Can whoop ass.
And we got Miami, Ohio beats North Texas 27-14. And then this next one is very painful for me. We're at the Florida game versus UCF. UCF beats.
Yep. Games nobody cares about. Yep.
Yeah. Florida 29-17. Emory Jones. Please put your name in the transfer portal. You haven't yet. Please don't decide to come back. Anyways, we'll move on to the next game. Slide it in there.
And on to the next.
On to the next. Georgia State beats Ball State 51-20. And again, who cares? Washington West. Man, my eyes just deceived me. Western Michigan beats Nevada 52-24. Tate Martell's team. And then Boston College ECU got canceled. Houston beats Auburn. Another SEC loss, 17-13. And another military team beating a top-tier program, or what used to be a top-tier program in Louisville. Air Force beats Louisville 31-28. Another team where it's run. Although the quarterback for Air Force did have 252 yards passing. Went 9 for 10. They only threw the ball 9 times and almost had 300 yards passing. So, that receiver here, B. Lewis, 172 yards receiving. You might want to opt out of your contract and go for the NFL, sir.
Yeah. You're definitely missing your calling here.
Yeah. Fly high, though, and thank you for your service, because you're going to be locked in for that for 4 years regardless. Texas Tech beats Mississippi State 34-7. The SEC is hit again. The SEC, as Emmanuel Acho says, has a bias. However, we do have 2 SEC teams in the championship game.
So who really won?
Yeah. Who really won at the end? All right. Minnesota beats West Virginia 18-6. NC State got their game canceled. We're going to go into some bigger games here, and we'll talk a little bit more about these games in a little more depth. Oklahoma beats Oregon 47-32. Oregon quarterback had 306 yards passing and 3 touchdowns. And then Dye had 153 yards rushing on the Oklahoma defense.
I would like to add on to this game. I don't know if you watched the game or saw the play, but Mario Williams at one point had a clear avenue to the end zone for a quick 6. Was tackled, not even tackled. His helmet was ripped off by an Oregon defender, and he continued to run. There was nobody in front of him or around him. Scored the touchdown. It was called a touchdown, and then ultimately brought back after further review, because once the player's helmet comes off, the play is considered dead. And now, in my opinion, if there is a clear path to the end zone or a clear path ahead, nobody around him, whatever, you should be able to continue on the play. There was nobody around this kid, so that means Oregon stopped the play illegally, didn't get penalized for it. I mean, they did by like 5 yards, whatever, or not. I don't know exactly what happened, but he was in the wrong, and it cost us a touchdown. I think that's stupid. If there's a clear path to the end zone, the play should be able to continue, etc. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, no, I agree. And let's dive into it, because Florida, you're an Oklahoma fan, I'm a Florida fan. Florida had a similar instance of that with Dameon Pierce. Dameon Pierce got his helmet ripped off and ran for a touchdown. Was a big-time play for Florida. It had momentum swing and all that, and it got called back because his helmet got called off. I think that the play should, if the player is willing to continue in advancing the football, then he knows the risk. You should allow him to be a football player. If he just stops and says that's it, okay, that's play. But if he decides to keep running and defense goes to tackle him and stuff like that, yes, there's injury risk involved. My personal opinion, as someone who's played football, you as well, you understand that you're going to put it all on the field, and you should be allowed to do that and not take the love of that aspect of the game away.
Yeah, don't lower your head and just keep going.
I mean,
it's what you're out there to do. I mean, in the NFL, the play continues.
Yeah, granted, Dameon Pierce from Florida side dove for the end zone between like 3 defenders and almost got his head rocked, but he scored a touchdown, but he got called back.
He got the 6 points for a moment.
And then for the instance with Williams, again, like you said, if you have a clear path, it makes no sense why a helmet being off.
I mean, at the minimum, have like a clear path footnote in the rule or something like that. If there's like 5 players ahead of him and his helmet gets ripped off, all right, blow the play dead. But if there's nobody in front of him and he's 6-7 feet away or 7 yards away from the end zone, let him play.
The NFL doesn't call it dead.
Yeah, they just let the play go on until it's done.
They go on until it's done, and then they will either tack on a penalty if the helmet was ripped off illegally, or they just say, hey, that person has to sit out of play and get checked out by medical staff.
Plus, there are less injuries in the game of rugby, which is a full contact sport with no pads, no helmet, no knee pads, nothing. Well, there might be knee pads. I don't know. Some might wear them. But anyways, full contact sport, less head injuries than football anywhere in the entire world.
Yeah.
So
I would agree there. Rugby is definitely not necessarily more violent, but definitely a good comparison as far as violence goes with no helmets. I mean, it is what it is. Happy for you, though. Oklahoma beat Oregon, number 14 Oregon. Good game for you guys. Defensively, it doesn't look like you guys had that great of a game on stat-wise, but that's Oklahoma for you. Defense is never there. And that's why Venables is hoping to bring that defense from Clemson to Oklahoma.
We had no defensive coordinator. So
touche. Hey.
We were already that bad with one.
Yeah.
Then you take them away. I'm surprised we didn't get absolutely clobbered. But hey.
And Venables had the number 1 rated defense at Clemson, and he's hoping he brought a couple Clemson staff members over today. Actually, I can't remember their names, but to beef up that defensive front. And you guys got a lot of recruits on the defensive side that look to help. We move on to number 19, Clemson. Clemson struggled early in the season, but finished 10-3. They won 20-13 over Iowa State. Then we got Maryland beating Virginia Tech 54-10. Tua's brother, Tagovailoa, I can't ever say their last name. You guys know what I'm talking about. Had 265 yards passing and 2 touchdowns. 20-24. He's 5'10". As far as the NFL goes, he's a little shorter than his brother, but we've seen some 5'10" quarterbacks.
Hey, if Kyler Murray can make it, anybody can.
Yeah, and I think he's shown some good growth up there at Maryland ever since he transferred from Alabama. I think Alabama just had too long of a wait for him to play.
Too tall.
Too tall of a lineman.
Too tall.
Yeah.
They definitely had too tall of a lineman there.
Yeah. SMU and Virginia got canceled. 12 Pittsburgh loses to 10 Michigan State 31-21. And this was a cool story.
It was a wild game.
Yeah, it was a good game. Mel Tucker earned $100 a week at when he was a coaching assistant, and now he's making like $19 million a year. So if you want to be a coach, never give up on your dreams. He was a student coach.
And become a coach of a Big Ten team.
Yeah. I'm not saying like, all right, I'm going to be a coach of Richlands, North Carolina high school football.
$45 a week.
$45 a week, and that's pushing it. Maybe some Bo-Berry biscuits on the side.
45 is including your bonus for the year. So.
Yeah, so.
Just know that.
All right, and then we got South Carolina beating North Carolina, battle of the Carolinas, 38-21. Sam Howe has declared for the NFL draft, and I'm going to ask you again. He's projected to go 10 to 15 range. What is a potential team do you see him going to? I can name one. Well, let me throw it out there in the atmosphere.
I honestly don't. I don't know.
My guess is Washington football team. The team with no name. I think he'll.
I think the Carolina Panthers might be looking for some new
That's
blood.
A good pick. That's a good pick.
Yeah, I think Tyler is doing fairly well for the Redskins in the second part of the season here. I think he's actually turned it around. So I don't know if that's who they're going to be shooting after. So I'm going to go ahead and say Carolina. They're going to be shooting.
I like that. I mean, it all depends on if Washington really believes in Heineke.
I mean, the fans love him.
Yeah.
His teammates love him. You know, we could have another Carson Wentz situation where the teammates get infuriated that a player was traded or replaced, whatever.
Yeah.
I don't think that's going to be the case, though. The kid's on fire lately. Granted, they've lost.
He's not a bad quarterback.
No, not at all. I mean, you develop that kid, and it's a wrap. So I don't think they're going to waste a pick on Sam Howe. Not that it would be a waste.
Yeah.
He's not like an elite quarterback, but I don't think they're going to go ahead and get a mid-average quarterback to replace a mid-average quarterback.
Yeah, no, I agree there. And then the number one tight end a year ago, Jaheem Bell, who committed to USC, he put up 159 yards receiving and 2 touchdowns, which broke his previous record for receiving yards in a single game. He's a big-time talent. I think he's about 6'4", 210, 215, big time speed.
Somewhere up there. Yeah.
Somewhere up there. But big dude. He's not small at all. He's very athletic, freaky athletic, great route runner. And next year, not this draft, but the following draft, I think there's going to be a lot of teams eyeing to pick him up in the first to second round. We move on to Purdue versus Tennessee. Purdue beats Tennessee 48-45. Another SEC team losing in their bowl game. Purdue quarterback O'Connell had 534 yards passing and 5 touchdowns. And wide receiver Thompson had 217 yards receiving and 2 touchdowns.
It's nice.
That definitely a bolster, and we'll get into that, right? These bowl games that we talked about all thing. That definitely bolstered probably Thompson's, draft stock there, having that big of a game on that big of a stage. And then we go into Wisconsin versus Arizona State. Wisconsin wins 20-13. This is our final bowl game before we get into the big bowl games that everyone wants to hear about. So Wisconsin beats Arizona State big time there. So let's get into it. Cincinnati versus Alabama. Let's start there. Let's start there. Your thoughts?
I was wrong. And I should have stuck with my gut. Because this whole season I have been dogging on Cincinnati. I've been saying they're not the real deal. They're not the real deal. And the day of, I say Cincinnati's going to win. I don't know why, but I had this weird feeling in the back of my head that said Cincinnati might pull this out and beat Alabama. It was wrong. It was dead wrong. I should have known. It's Alabama. Alabama doesn't lose these type of games.
No.
And it's safe to say that Ohio State is the best team in Ohio. Cincinnati, it was fun. It was good. It was exciting to see, It was fun cheering on little brother, but you can't play with the big dogs.
No.
I mean, if you see the size difference of those kids out there on the field,
yeah.
Oh my God.
Me and my dad when we were watching, we were like, holy crap.
That's the biggest issue, man. Like, Alabama needs to get some type of investigation going on because they're feeding these recruits something that might be illegal. Yeah. Just saying. Because they're the same age out there, but that looks like a full-on NFL team full of veteran players compared to some, like, high school varsity team. But, I mean, it was an exciting game to watch. I was actually in Cincinnati during that game. Stopped in at a couple of places that had the game on. I'll say this, man. Cincinnati loves...
You pass us some tissues?
No. I left before the end of the game, so I didn't get trampled.
I got you.
Cincinnati loves their Bearcats, man. I'll give them that. It was fascinating to watch everybody out there in their gear and stuff. They don't got a lot to cheer about. So it was nice to see they had something.
Listen, all right.
Cincinnati is mid. Skyline Chili, mid. Your Cincinnati Reds,
Cincinnati
mid.
Bearcats are who we thought they were, and we let them off the hook. Listen, my co-host here, Taylor, has been saying it all year. Who have they played to be ranked in the top 5, let alone the top 4, let alone the top 10? Just because you're undefeated does not mean you deserve to be ranked that high. You have to look at the opponents. I mean, if we're going off undefeated seasons, look at UTSA. I mean, look at the Raging Cajuns.
Throw them in.
Yeah, throw them in. Louisiana Raging Cajuns.
Why is Alabama there?
Yeah,
Why is Georgia
FCS
there?
team. Like, this is ridiculous. I watched that game knowing Cincinnati was getting destroyed, but I had a little hope as a Florida fan that Cincinnati could pull it off, and it didn't do it. It didn't do it.
Unfortunately, they could.
27-6. Bryce Young had a pretty decent day, 181 yards and 3 passing touchdowns. Nothing flashy. But Robinson Jr., the running back from Alabama, 204 yards. Monster game for him. Cincinnati, bear down. Yeah.
Yeah, down.
Yeah, very much down. We pretty much predicted that Alabama would win. We put out our things on the Twitter sphere. I think you had Michigan versus Alabama. Is that what you had?
No, I had Michigan versus Cincinnati.
Oh, you had Michigan versus Cincinnati.
I told you something in the back of my head. Hey, go with Cincinnati today. My gut said no.
He was going for the underdog. Yeah. I had Alabama versus Michigan, and I was also wrong. And our fan poll, we put it out to you guys on Twitter sphere, and you guys had Michigan versus Cincinnati as well.
Yeah, we are all in this boat together, and it sunk fast.
And listen, it wasn't like a cheap poll, man. There was like 20, 30 votes on each poll. Yeah. So, and then you guys had Michigan winning it all over Cincinnati. So everyone's taking a big fat L this week. We move on to the Georgia and Michigan game, which we thought would be closer, but it was 34 to 11. And I want to point this out. Right? Aiden Hutchinson is going to go number 1 overall to the Jaguars, pretty much locked. Defensive end for Michigan. He got pummeled by the SEC offensive line of Georgia, which scares me if I'm the Jaguars. Because if he struck, I saw multiple plays where he got pancaked, which you don't want to see as a top player. You didn't see Myles Garrett getting pancaked in college, right? If you're picking this guy number 1 overall, he better be putting offensive linemen on their butts, not the other way around. So, jury's out for me on Aiden Hutchinson. You can put up all the numbers all you want against smaller competition, but when you time to step up for the big dogs and your team needs you and you disappear, I'm not. If I'm number 1 overall pick, I'm not putting my eggs in that basket. That's just me. I don't know about you.
Yeah. No, I'm with you on that one. I mean, if you're getting pancaked and bullied like that, you got no place going anywhere in the top 10.
Yeah.
At all.
Maybe at 15, but I mean, like
maybe, and that's a maybe. If you're getting pancaked, and these boys in the NFL, they're not small. They're not weak.
They're bigger than the guys in Georgia.
They will throw you around like a rag doll in the NFL. So
you didn't see Nick Bosa or Joey Bosa getting tossed. You didn't see Chase Young getting tossed. Myles Garrett, Jadeveon Clowney.
If you got a household name, you didn't see them getting what was done.
And so that scares me about Aiden Hutchinson. I know he's very talented, but watching that game against Georgia, I was like, he's going to be the guy who is a difference maker for Michigan. And instead, my man went to
He was the difference maker for Georgia.
Yeah. My man, they literally ran to his side almost the entire game, and that's not something you want to see as a potential number 1 overall pick.
No.
And by running to his side, Dalvin Cook's brother, got 112 yards and a touchdown. So, again, if I'm the Jaguars, I'm pretty scared if that's my pick. And then, I mean, Georgia steamrolled, man. Alabama steamrolled. We kind of saw it coming. I think all college football fans had on that glimmer of hope. But, yeah, I don't know. I'll let you take away the college football. Now that it's set, the college football championship game, Alabama versus Georgia. I'll let you take that away. Thoughts, details, whatever you want to get about there.
I'm going with Georgia as your college football champions.
No.
I say this because Alabama has been exposed a few times this year, while Georgia was exposed once right before the playoffs. Alabama has been exposed by Texas A&M, Florida, Auburn, and somewhat, and you're going to say, what? Somewhat by Cincinnati. Because Cincinnati should have got destroyed.
Yeah.
And they didn't. A slight exposure by Cincinnati. But you have the big-time exposure by Texas A&M. Florida almost beat them. And then you had Auburn almost beating them. They got exposed this year. Georgia didn't really get exposed. You know, I mean, they did lose. But
to
Alabama. But I think Georgia's going to come back.
I think what's going to hold Alabama, I think people are going to expose Bryce Young. I know he's the Heisman winner. And to him, he was the underdog his whole life. Out of Mater Dei, California, the number one high school in the nation, he's the underdog. And he was the number one rated overall quarterback in his class.
Can't wait for this movie.
Yeah, we can't wait for this underdog story, right? Then he goes to the number one program in the nation, again, underdog. And then he takes over his quarterback in his freshman year and leads him to a championship game. An underdog story, guys. Ones of the ages. I don't think he's as good as I think he is being elevated by Williams and Mechie and that entire team at Alabama. I think that when I watch his game, his mechanics, he's got decent mechanics, but he really struggles on. There are certain routes that he struggles on that he just overthrows, underthrows. Maybe he doesn't make the right reads, but it's kind of like a consistent thing. And yes, he's a freshman, so there's going to be that. He's still learning. But in a national championship game, it is not the time to learn. You got to be perfect. And in my opinion, Bryce Young will be the reason that Alabama loses this game.
I'm with you on that.
I think he will be the straw that breaks the camel's back. I think he'll make one minor mistake, like an interception or something, that's just going to cost the game.
I don't think it's going to be a blowout by any means. I don't think either team's going to have a crazy advantage. I think it's going to be a fair match game. I think Georgia saw, hey, we are beatable. It's time to tighten up and get back to what we were doing and start whooping some ass. I think Georgia's going to claim that national champion. And it's about time. Okay. Yeah. Alabama has been taking it for way too long now. Georgia has been so close so many times. And
they haven't won since like 1984. So
yeah. So
the Cowboys of the college football.
Ooh. I didn't say that, any Georgia fans out there. I did not compare you to the Cowboys. That was that, man.
Go Dogs. Take it until Alabama takes you to the pound.
So I'm saying go Dogs, national champs. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I think that Georgia wins, as much as it pains me to say, but it was going to pain me to say Alabama wins too. So,
I think it would pain me more to say
Alabama wins, because it's like, why we need a playoff. We both picked Georgia. I want to get some. We didn't really get too much thoughts on this before we broke into the Alabama and Georgia game. Thoughts of opting out of bowl games, and then thoughts on bowl games themselves, as far as should it be extended to say 26 teams. We'll get on to that, but let's just go on our first thoughts of opting out, because we see Matt Carroll. He got hurt. Ole Miss was supposed to be a top 10 quarterback drafted in the subsequent class, and now he tore I think it was ACL or something like that.
MCL, I believe.
Yeah, MCL.
One of the CLs.
His bowl game, which some say is meaningless. I think you kind of disagree. Give me your thoughts.
I mean, I just love football in general. I mean, when I played it, I played to play the sport, and I played for eventually becoming an NFL player. I mean, of course, it's always a dream, but it's not why I was playing. I was playing because I loved the game. It gave me a sense of peace and calmed me down whenever I'm angry or whatever. Just go out on the field, play some football. Great way to relax for a lot of us. It's a place where we can all escape to. Now it just seems like, hey, man, can I get to a point where I can make a insane amount of money and then quit and then start a business with that money? That's what it's starting to become. It's not, I love the game of football. I'm going to go out there. I'm going to give it every single thing I've got, every, fiber in my being. I'm going to go out there and I'm going to lay it on the field. Back in like the 90s and earlier than that, it was grit and grind. That was it. Some of these players were playing for nothing, but they were going out there and getting smash mouth football out there on the field, whatever. Nowadays, it's, oh, do I look good in my outfit? Walking up to the game, like, am I looking good? Yeah, like I got to take a picture for my Instagram, whatever. There's no true love for the game of football, it seems, anymore. I understand what people are saying, like, oh, well, the draft is coming up. Why should these players go in there and potentially hurt themselves for a game that means nothing? It should mean something. If it doesn't mean something to you, you're not in it for the right reasons. And some people say, well, they're in it for money, and that's the right reasons to them. That's not why football was created. Football wasn't created to make millions of dollars off of. It was to entertain other people and give somebody something to do.
No.
That's what football is. Plain and simple, boil it down, that's what it is. So these games do mean something. And I understand not wanting to get hurt and stuff, but you can get hurt in game 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, whatever week it is, you can still get injured.
No, and
plain and simple.
But here's my rebuttal, right? Yeah, yes, you can get hurt weeks 1 through whatever, right? But if you get hurt early on in the season, you can say, call it a season or whatever. You have time to heal before the NFL draft. If I'm Matt Carroll, as much as I want to be out there with my guys, I'm going to be, you got to think about his family too, right? He's potentially going to try to set up his parents or whoever, all these athletes, himself. If I'm going first round, and I'm saying this for first round only, right? First round, if I'm a first round lock, everyone's telling me you're first round lock like Matt Carroll is, I'm not risking the biscuit because he went from going from top 10 to top 15 to potentially probably going to slide into the second round because teams are going to be very scared about his injury. We saw it with Sidney Jones coming out of Washington. He was a number one rated corner coming out of the draft. He's supposed to go in top 10. He ended up going to Philly in the second round because he tore his ACL in the bowl game. Jalen Smith, Notre Dame, supposed to be in the first round. Eventually went to the Cowboys. He's was on the Packers, but they released him. Hurt himself at Notre Dame in his bowl game. And then we throw it back to Marshawn Lattimore, who's supposed to be the number one running back since like Daniel Tomlinson coming out of South Carolina. And he played his bowl game. He's like, I'm going to give it all for my guys. He got hurt, and now he's a head coach at a high school making mediocre money. So it's like, if he just would have stayed out of that one game, and yes, he could have got hurt any time, whatever, but he could have just stayed out of that one game. He'd have been making millions and had that chance of a lifetime that all these kids are hoping for.
But see, there's always that what if. In every single scenario, there's the what if, These kids can get into a car accident while not playing the bowl game. It's happened more in the past couple of years of these young kids that are stars in college football getting killed in car accidents. No. Even NFL players getting killed in car accidents. To me, it seems like it's happening more than players are getting injured on the field. And it's sad to say. Yeah. Everything is, well, if I did
underneath the rugs.
Yeah. Or, well, it's always, well, if I didn't do this, or, well, if I chose to do that instead, or, if I opted out, or if I chose to do, that's what it always boils down to whenever something doesn't go your way. I guarantee you if Matt Carroll won that game and they got a ring, guarantee you he wouldn't be crying. He wouldn't be whining about anything. Nobody would be saying, oh, he should have opted out. Nobody's like, oh, he risked his body. No, it's only when something bad happens that people want to say something. And I get it. Yeah, I don't want these kids to get injured. But there's always a chance somebody's going to get injured, possibly die, in every aspect of life. That's what life is. Chance.
No. I mean, I would agree there, but, like, I don't know. Like, for some prospects, it's a time to increase your draft stock. But these games like Tulsa, like, to me, bowl games are participation trophies. And I know you think it's where every team can get hardware. Everyone gets hardware. But, like, that's just, like, again, it's a participation trophy.
Just a chance at hardware.
Yeah. And so if you're going to be if you're not in the New York Six bowl game or in the playoffs, then I think that it's okay if you're like, hey, I might opt out because I got first, second round grade on me. I'm coming, especially if you're from like a smaller school. even a big time school, I'm opting out because I don't want to lose that grade. I'm not, what am I playing for, right? Like my guys, yeah, but like there's a lot of money on the line. There's not gonna be people who are like, well, he got hurt, but he went to Alabama, or you know, hey, I'm a guy from Tulsa and I'm supposed to go in the second or third round. Why would I play my game and get hurt and then slip to undrafted? Because it's not there. There's a grace period. Like there's a kind of certain grace for certain players and individuals depending on what team you're at. If you go to, I don't know, UCLA, and you get hurt, UCLA is a big program, but the leash is different to say an Alabama player getting hurt. Because you're like, oh, they played top competition, they got hurt. All they have to do is get healthy. UCLA is like, well, he didn't play the best competition, but he played really well, and he's probably going to go top 2 rounds. Oh, but he got hurt, so he's going to slip to the 6th round. Yeah. Right? So I think it's a case-by-case basis. Of course, we got players like Kyrie Elam, one of the top corners in the nation. He played the bowl game for Florida, even though Florida lost. He risked the potential. He said, I'm going out there with my guys. But there's also potential that he stays at Florida, so that's also a reason why he decided to play, because he's on the fence of entering the NFL draft. So I think it's a case-by-case basis, but I think this goes more into it. If you're like what you were saying, these games mean something. But not all these games mean something. These smaller bowl games, I mean, it's just hardware for the school and a couple extra $1,000. They're expanding it to 12 teams next year. But if you really want fans to like care about every single bowl game, because we don't. Am I watching Old Dominion play Tulsa? No, I'm not. I don't care about that bowl game. But you know what I will care about that bowl game? Is if we had instead of a top 25, a top 26. We do a March Madness style. Now Tulsa's playing Alabama, and who knows? Tulsa's the underdog story, and they beat Alabama. Like, that's crazy. I would go nuts. I would 100% watch that game.
Agreed.
So, I mean, I don't know. Give your thoughts. I mean, your thoughts on a 26-team playoff and just March Madness.
It sounds ludicrous to say a 26-team playoff for the NCAA football, but it could work. You know, I mean, right now 4 is too little. 12 is getting to the point where it's like, why not just shoot it to 26?
Yeah.
You get all these top teams, top 26. You'd have to add an extra, but top teams into these games, make them mean something. That way you're actually working for the hardware that you're playing for, whatever. That way the fans get to see a competitive game played. They don't have to worry about third stringers coming out there that haven't seen a snap in 3 years. Get out there and put on the best football they've ever seen in their entire life.
Yeah.
I agree.
And in order, I know game schedule-wise, I mean, we're probably playing well into January for these student athletes, and then the spring ball comes up and all that. But just take these little cupcake games at the beginning of the season. Those games don't mean anything either. So take those away. I mean, it hurts the small programs that like sign on to get their butts beat for money, which is what you're doing as a coach. You're like, hey, we're Old Dominion. We'll play the University of Florida for $200,000. Yes, my kids' morale will go down. They will believe they suck at life, and but we'll do it for the money. Like, just get rid of those games. Florida doesn't need to play Old Dominion. Alabama doesn't need to play Holy Cross. You know what I'm saying? Like,
hey kids, look where you could have been if you were better.
Like,
now we're gonna go out there and get our asses whooped. Let's go.
Yeah, like as a team member, like, oh yeah, I'm playing Alabama. No, if I'm like, dude, I'm a 5'10", 160-pound wide receiver. I probably shouldn't be playing D1, but I am. And now we're playing Alabama. Get the stretcher.
I'm going to die.
I'm going to die. I don't want all that for extra cash, for extra money. Get rid of those games. So the first, it's usually like the first 2 games of the season are pretty much warm-up games.
Beginning of the season.
Get rid of those, and then just make every single game meaningful in the regular season, and then those 2 games you add on to the playoffs. I think that would work. Logistically, we'd again have to add on a top 26 instead of AP poll top 25, but if you're ranked top 26, you're in. Simple as that.
I'm there with you. 100% agree. I think it could work. I think it would be exciting for football fans everywhere to watch.
Yeah. Just imagine, like in March Madness or basketball, right? We got like the underdog stories. What's a more recent one? I know Wisconsin won a couple years ago. But like even when you play, like you see Duke play Kent State. You know Kent State's got a pretty decent basketball team. They're still considered the underdog to Duke. And then all of a sudden Kent State goes and beats Duke. And then they're like, oh, the next game in March Madness is Chapel Hill. And then all of a sudden they beat Chapel Hill. And you're like, holy crap. And then you're following Kent State. You're following this small school and they're earning more money because they're playing against these big schools. Like UTSA was ranked. They're not anymore. San Diego State took their spot. But Tulsa was ranked. Some of these smaller schools that got ranked in the bottom half just because they're undefeated. They can still make their money in these bowl games. And you're going to get a lot of fans cheering you on, especially if you upset somebody.
Oh, big time if you upset somebody and you're that low of a score. Absolutely agree.
Yeah. And, I mean, Cincinnati was the underdog. Everyone was rooting for them against Alabama. And then there's going to be some games that are going to be a Cincinnati-Alabama game where it's just, okay, you know you're going to get steamrolled, but who knows? I mean, that's the game of football, basketball. That's any game. You just never know who's going to win. So my opinion, and I think you agree, is open it up.
100% agree. I think it'd be great for everybody, including players. I mean, just maybe keep the smaller games at the beginning, but like near the end of the season, convert the couple of the games into bowl games.
Yeah, I mean, or
playoff games, however you want to put it down.
Yeah,
I don't know, something for the committee to think about. They probably will never do this, or will they ever hear of this? But we'll see what happens.
Yeah, we will see what happens. But anyways, guys, that's it for us. We both have Georgia beating Alabama in the College Football Playoff National Championship. Thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure you guys like and subscribe, and make sure you guys follow our Twitter. Taylor, is there anything else you'd like to say?
I've got nothing except for go Dogs.
I can't say that I'm a Florida fan. I'll throw up.
You have to say it.
Listen,
you have to say it.
If Georgia beats Alabama,
non-bias statement.
If Georgia beats Alabama,
he's gonna buy a Georgia jersey.
I will change my Twitter to all Georgia things for an entire week.
You heard it here first, folks.
Yeah, you heard it here.
I'll hold him to that.
Yeah, and I will go out. I live in the state of Georgia, so it's not hard to find it. I will go out and buy
to Walmart.
I can just go to Walmart. I will go out and buy a Georgia Bulldog hat and wear it on our next show.
Do it.
So, that's it. So, Alabama, I'm actually pulling for you to win. Flipperoo, Alabama wins. Anyway,
Roll Tide.
Roll Tide.
Oh, yeah.
Where's my cousins at?
All right, we're done. We're done.
Right, yeah.
We're off.
Like and subscribe. Make sure you follow our Twitter. Much love.
Out.
And then tomorrow is our NFL episode, so stay tuned for that.